Stay home, stay safe. August 31st protests in Australia. On August 31st, 2025, large-scale anti-immigration protests under the banner March for Australia are planned across major Australian cities. While organizers describe the rallies as peaceful, authorities warn there is a risk of extremist involvement and potential clashes with counter-protesters. For public safety, to avoid risks, keep clear of protest zones. Residents are advised to avoid protest areas, monitor official police updates, and prioritize personal security. Staying home and steering clear of demonstrations will help reduce the risk of being caught in disruption. Australia on edge, rising tensions ahead of nationwide anti-immigration protests. Australia is bracing for a wave of anti-immigration protests scheduled for August 31st, 2025, as divisions grow over the nation's migration policies and extremist groups attempt to harness public discontent. A nationwide call to march. Under the banner, March for Australia, organizers have called for rallies in multiple cities across the country, promoted as family-friendly, peaceful demonstrations against what they call unsustainable mass immigration. The marches are expected to draw thousands. Participants are being urged to bring only Australian flags and avoid affiliations with fringe groups in an effort to present a unified, mainstream image. However, beneath the surface, authorities and experts are sounding the alarm. Intelligence analysts warn that neo-Nazi networks and extremist movements are attempting to infiltrate the protests, potentially reshaping the rallies into platforms for racist and xenophobic messaging. Extremist echoes, from midnight marches to hate banners. Concerns about extremist involvement are not unfounded. In recent months, Australia has witnessed a resurgence of public far-right activity. On June 15th, a group of masked men staged a racist protest in Docklands, Melbourne, brandishing a banner that read "Solve Black Crime, Send Them Back," while chanting "Australia for the White Man." Police monitored the demonstration but made no arrests. On August 9th, the National Socialist Network (NSN), led by convicted extremist Thomas Sewell, marched through Melbourne CBD at midnight, with about 100 masked participants holding a banner that read, "White Man Fight Back." The event caused widespread outrage, with critics warning of increased far-right recruitment efforts. Following the march, Sewell claimed a surge in sign-ups for a splinter group called White Australia, boasting that it was gaining more traction than some mainstream political parties. Political and public reaction. The planned August 31st protests have sparked strong criticism from community leaders, politicians, and public figures. Social commentator and media personality Abby Chatfield labeled the movement racist, bigoted, and disgusting, urging Australians to reject extremist messaging disguised as grassroots activism. Others argue that the protests risk fueling racial division at a time when the country is grappling with broader social and economic challenges. At the same time, supporters of the rallies insist they are simply giving voice to everyday Australians concerned about housing shortages, strained infrastructure, and rapid population growth. They argue that government migration policies, including visa caps, student visa reforms, and employer-sponsored migration programs, are out of step with the needs of ordinary citizens. Law enforcement and security concerns. Police and security agencies are on alert as the protest date approaches. Authorities are concerned about the possibility of violent clashes between anti-immigration marchers and counter-protesters, as well as the likelihood of extremist groups using the demonstrations as recruitment opportunities. In several states, rally organizers have yet to obtain official permits, complicating preparations for crowd control and public safety. Law enforcement agencies are coordinating across jurisdictions to ensure that any disruptions remain contained. Media and messaging dilemmas. The protests also raise questions for the media. How should journalists report on events that attract extremist participation without inadvertently amplifying their messages? Critics warn that sensational coverage could embolden far-right movements, while underreporting risks ignoring an issue with growing social impact. A nation watching closely. As the countdown to August 31st continues, Australia finds itself at a crossroads. For some, the protests represent a legitimate outcry over immigration policy and government priorities. For others, they are a dangerous flashpoint, providing extremists with an opportunity to drag public debate into the realm of hate and division. Whether the March for Australia rallies remain peaceful demonstrations or escalate into a showcase for extremist ideology will test the resilience of Australia's democracy, its social cohesion, and its ability to confront divisive movements head-on.